My name is Natalie Hofman. I'm the chair of EuroFM. And on behalf of the EuroFM boards, we warmly welcome you to World FM Day 2025. Today, we come together to celebrate the people, the passion, and progress to define the world of facility management. It's a moment to pause and reflect, not just on the milestones we've reached as a community, but also on the personal commitment and daily dedication each of you brings to our beautiful profession. Your efforts, whether in operations, innovation, education, or collaboration, will make a real difference. They shape workplaces, enable sustainability, foster well-being, and help organizations thrive in an ever-changing world. Facility management is much more than about buildings. It's about people. And today we celebrate you. As EuroFM, we are proud to be part of growing, resilient, and future-focused European network. Together across borders and backgrounds, we've achieved so much. And today it's a chance to acknowledge that shared journey. And we will do that by our program. So, with opening this World FM Day, I would like to introduce also the theme of the World FM Day this year, which is Resilience in Action, Thriving in a World of Change. And in a world that is constantly changing, it's becoming increasingly important not only to be flexible, but also to be resilient. For me, personally, this theme means learning to cope with uncertainties, adapting more quickly to new situations, and drawing strengths from change rather than being thrown off balance by it. Resilience in action is about consciously using my ability to recover, to grow, and to even thrive, especially when circumstances are challenging. And that's what it is at this moment. It's an invitation to keep moving forwards, to continue learning, and to make choices that align with what I am personally, and to navigate a dynamic world with confidence. And then for an international association like EuroFM, this theme represents the strengths we find in working together to shape the future of our profession. By sharing knowledge, fostering connections, and responding to technological, societal, and economic changes, we can build a resilient and forward-looking facility management sector. No more than ever, collaboration and connection at the European level are crucial. In an increasingly complex and independent environment, working across borders enables us to strengthen our collective impact, align our ambitions, and learn from others' experience. EuroFM provides the network and the platform to make this collaboration meaningful and effective. And by saying this, I think this is a good theme, which we will also enable the rest of the year and during this day, because the program is booked with two nice discussions. Before we're doing that, I think it's first a good opening to ask Ali Al-Suali, who is the chair of Global FM, and Global FM is the initiator of World FM Day, to tell his vision about World FM Day. So Vera is the replacement of Niels, who is having his holiday at the moment. So Vera, please open the video of Ali.
Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. Hi everyone, wherever you are. Today is a special day for us. Today is World FM Day. This is Ali Suwaidi, Chairman of Global FM and Association, and it's really a pleasure to address everyone worldwide on the occasion of World FM Day. It's a special occasion for all of us facility management professional worldwide. we have a duty, we have a mission to support our communities and societies, and we support the built environment. So it's important for us also to remember and celebrate together our achievement every year. We do a lot to our society. We do a lot to our organizations and partners. And this is where it's important to come together in a yearly basis and celebrate. And today, World FM Day celebration, May 14th, 2025, is a special day where we all come together. And even if you couldn't celebrate today and you're hearing the video later, the whole month of May, you're welcome to celebrate and recognize the importance of the facility management profession. It's an important role that we play and an important industry within any country community. And we're really proud of you all celebrating this World FM Day. Of course, the theme of World FM Day today is really resilience in action, thriving in a world of change. And as a global facility management association, as an umbrella of all facility management association worldwide and the Federation of all facility management association, we would like all associations to come together and recognize the effort that is put by our member of the industry, the individuals who work hard to support their facilities and build environment and support the society. And we would like also to celebrate with our partners who are an important part of the industry because they help us to do a better job. They support us in making our mission easier. So our partners as well, we need to engage them in our celebration. Thank you to our partner, thank you to our individual members and the leaders in the industry who bring people together to celebrate. Of course, we as an industry, we've shown resilience over the past many years in supporting the built environment, supporting the client, supporting people living in places, people working in places, people going to schools, for example. So we are there to support, the people who are within the society. And we are proud of you guys as heroes, as technicians, cleaners, security guard, whatever you do, you play an important role in making the safe environment safe, making our people user of the building comfortable and happy, and making us achieve the technology or sustainability agenda that we want to achieve to support our society and becoming more sustainable. And we don't forget that being resilient is an important in in a world of a change. The world is changing. Technology is becoming more important. So it's a call for all of us to adapt using technology today in what we do day to day. I wish you all the best. And again, we're proud of every one of you. Be proud of what you do. And happy World FM Day 2025. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the day.
So,
Stage is yours again, Natalie.
thank you, Vera, and I think thank you to Ali. I know he has other things to do today, so we're very grateful that he could record this video for us. So Dan, now what's on the program? We do have two discussions. The first one is hosted by Pat. So Pat, I give you the floor that you can take over now. And I don't know, Vera, you need to see how it works out to get it the panelists on the screen, but you will manage that.
Yes, I'll put you in the spotlight, okay?
Thanks, Vera.
There he goes.
Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction, Natalie, on that. I'm delighted today that I'll be joined by two of our European ambassadors. We have Sean Gibbons, who represents the UK, but also has a wide global experience, and we'll be tapping that as well too for information with regard to our discussions. And also as well, we will have Carmel Lindqvist, who is based in Norway, and we'll be looking to see how our North European colleagues experience FM in terms of some of the areas that I'll be covering here today. So I've got, first of all, before I do it, maybe I should ask Carmel and Sean to introduce themselves a little bit, and I'll start with Carmel, please.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to celebrate today in such good company. I'm a professor in facility management based at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. And I've been researching and educating and working with practice for about 20 years in facility management. So I'm really looking forward to engaging and maybe drawing on some of my knowledge in the discussion today. So just a very short introduction here, Pat.
Short and sweet, Carmel. That's the way to have
Yes.
it. Okay, thank you very much for that. And Sean?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'll try and keep it nice and short and sweet as well. So I'm Sean Gibbons. As Pat said, I'm the EuroFM ambassador to the UK. I'm also currently the vice chair of Global FM. I've more than 30 years of international experience. My most recent role was global head of facility management and real estate for Roche, which is a big pharmaceutical company based in Switzerland. That was a role that I held for 15 years, and whereas responsible for developing and implementing things like workplace, real estate, FM strategies, obtaining ISO 41001 certification for a big portfolio operating in more than 100 countries. So nice to meet you all.
Okay, great, Sean. Thank you very much for that introduction as well too. And we'll start off with a few questions really. And first one I want to turn to really is the whole issue of outsourcing of FM services. We've seen quite a number of changes and evolutions over the last number of years, from in-house delivery to bundled outsourcing to total FM. In terms of your experience of the FM delivery models currently in your own countries, and we'll start with Carmel first. What are you seeing there in terms of the evolution of FM outsourcing?
My colleagues actually did a research study a few years ago, Tora Haugen and Nora Klunstedt, on this topic. And while they were noticing that there was an increase in outsourcing there, but in Norway, there was still, most of the services were still in-house. So like, I think there is an indication that, you know, there's still that element of control. But I think there is this it's also like to take into consideration that it's really dependent on how big the property portfolio is, because large organizations necessarily need the resources to manage properties well. And I know in NTNU that they often do like comparison of services across their different campuses in order to kind of understand them. So like, and I think a lot of their services are in-house. I imagine that this is much more different for an organization with a smaller property portfolio, because it's more expensive for a smaller company to manage its own resources and its own tasks and activities to support the company. So I would assume it's very much dependent on how large the property portfolio is. But like, I think as Natalie was mentioning, everything is a change and everything's in flux. So, and sometimes a facility management organization within a company don't have the competency to meet the change. So there is good reasons to start outsourcing. I know with some of the organizations we work with, especially with digitalization, where they're trying to figure out whether to have it in-house or outsource, they are outsourcing it. So I think it's kind of adapting and living with uncertainty and being able to adapt in a good way, and having those sourcing models that can deal with that kind of adaptation and change.
Okay, great. Thanks very much for that, Carmen. And Sean, maybe the same question for you about the UK experience.
Yeah, sure. I can give that. Sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. I had to run quickly up and down the stairs to take a parcel in. So that's the benefits of home working for you. Yeah, so back to the question. And I think looking at it broadly, I think the industries have certainly evolved significantly. I think moving from in-house delivery to outsource models. And these range everything from bundled outsourcing to total FM and everything in between. There's several different models, I think, in vogue, and I think, as Carmen said, it depends on the size of the portfolio, the complexity of the portfolio, the commercial awareness of the organisation, and so on. But these models range from your typical IFM, focusing on outcomes, hybrid models, which is quite popular in Switzerland, where we combine some elements of in-house delivery with external providers, often on a bundled sense. Then we've got managed services. One of the new ones that is starting to see more often is on-demand models. And this is where FM services are provided as needed, often through subscription or pay-per-use contracts. Obviously, technology plays a huge role in enabling this. And these, I think, are becoming of more of interest to small companies and things like co-working and flex spaces and so on.
Okay, and do you think a model like on-demand, Sean, is going to work for those companies who need a more, what I would call a Lycra approach to their FM delivery in terms of expanding and contracting depending on their needs and requirements?
I think they will. I mean, I think it depends on the sector. I think it depends on the complexity of the services being delivered, and also the service levels that are required as well. And I think, their niche market is clearly for smaller companies that don't want to have a big 3 or 5 year contract with a major service provider. And also, as I said before, these flexible arrangements where you have drop-in space, flexible workspace, that kind of thing, where it's difficult, almost impossible to predict what the demand for services will be throughout a normal course of the week.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for that. And in terms of FM outsourcing, predominantly a lot of FM outsourcing in the past has been operational and probably at best tactical in terms of how it delivers FM for client organisations. Are we starting to see a more strategic involvement of outsourcing by FM companies, or is that still the domain of the main client FM organisation? And I'll take you first, Carmen, please.
Well, I think it's challenging to do change without having the strategic on board, but I think often you see the changes that are required at the operational and the tactical level. So I kind of think that it is necessary to continue with identifying where change is needed, but trying to kind of build that more into get it on the strategic level so that the investment is there and there is awareness. And I think the sustainability and digitalization is driving that need to kind of start to think at the strategic level for companies, because when we think about sustainability, it's really kind of putting, I think, facility management to the fore. And with the theme with resilience, I find it very challenging. How can a company say that its strategy is to take in resilience if they aren't incorporating facility management within those strategies? So I think where change can be identified, I would see that still at the tactical and operational change. But I still think working getting into the goals and objectives at the strategic level, I think that is important, but all need to work together, and I think that's the optimal way of going forward.
All right, and for you, Sean, as well, because obviously your experience and background working with Roche on a global level, were you comfortable with giving the FM outsourced companies a more strategic role in FM delivery?
No, I think my own personal experience is that really, despite claims to the contrary, FM service providers really do struggle with offering strategic guidance. I think they're best placed to deliver the tactical and operational outcomes. And I think even if we look at the way that contracts are established, they often emphasize tactical KPIs over strategic outcomes. And I think this, combined with things like, the tight margins in the industry, really ensures that service providers are focusing on this operational, tactical kind of level. I think, in addition, there's also a gap in trust between the client and service providers. I've seen it myself where clients will withhold critical data such as financial plans, and these are clearly needed for strategic input. There's also the reality for service providers that it costs a lot of money to train people to develop strategic capabilities. And I think relying on more tactical and operational people to offer strategic input is not really a way forward. I think there's other aspects. I think, the industry is pretty fragmented. And I think, a lot of smaller providers just certainly would completely lack the scale or resources to offer any strategic input whatsoever. So I think certainly from the client side, they increasingly demand good, solid strategic input. But I think with FM service providers slow to adapt, this is going to be good news for all of those FM consultants out there. They're not going to do you out of a job just yet.
All right, good shout out for the consultants. There's still room for you there in FM outsourcing. And just on this topic, final question on this topic, in terms of then the direction where FM is going to go in terms of outsourcing, where it is going to evolve to, is there still room for the small and medium-sized indigenous companies in this picture? And maybe Sean, I'll take you first.
Sure. Yeah, I think, as we mentioned before, I think the outsourcing landscape is poised for a significant evolution over the next few years. And we can all see the drivers, the tech advances, the sustainability imperatives, the hybrid working models, which are pretty much standard these days post-COVID, as well as the labour shortages that the industry is seeing. And there's also a big shift in client expectations in terms of service delivery. So I think moving forward, there's probably going to be more consolidation, particularly with the global players buying up smaller FM providers. Although I think niche markets will undoubtedly persist for specialized services, for special asset types, for special industry sectors such as GMP, manufacturing, heritage buildings, and this kind of thing. So I think there will be an avenue for these guys.
Okay, thanks for that. And I'll put the same question to you, Carmel. Is that the experience from the Norwegian perspective?
Yeah, because I agree with Sean. I think that, and I think where I kind of would see, I see the indigenous companies, the small and medium, kind of filling in the gaps to some degree. And there are, like I think Sean mentioned, the on-demand services. Like that links to how the need for more agility and flexibility in outsourcing models, because things are changing all the time, and we don't always have the key competencies required to adapt to the change. So I think where I see the small medium companies really excelling in is that those kind of plugins that are kind of needed essentially to kind of fill in some of the gaps. But of course, like there's small practices that also need to be managed, and I think those kind of companies will also last there. But I think ultimately in the future, in order to ensure that organizations are supported properly and, you know, to be resilient, and we saw the consequences of COVID and how facility managers stepped up there. And I think that was kind of a good kind of lesson learned that we should be taking forward for making our sourcing models resilient in the future. So I think, yeah, we do need to be, the services and the outsourcing models do need to be ready for change and flexibility in the future.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that, Carol. And in terms, then I just want to move on to really, which is literally a hot topic at the moment, unfortunately, sustainability and the environment. In a day when I'm told that Dublin is actually warmer than Athens. So in terms of your own sustainability goals, and I'll take you first, Carol. What is the national perspective from the Norwegian government point of view? What are they doing to drive initiatives in sustainability with the commercial world?
Well, I know organizations here are very much focused on the environment sustainable governance approaches and then building them into their sourcing models. So I know that many organizations here have kind of developed a lot of key performance indicators within their services to adapt to those aspects. The EU is also quite influential here, the directives there. There's often a lot of reference to the taxonomy. So they are kind of being drawn on. Even though Norway is not part of the EU, it is quite influenced by what are the directives coming out of the EU. But yeah, there is a lot of targets, emission targets to be met, which are currently not looking to be met by 2030. So there is a need to step up and start kind of. And I think there is an awareness among companies to reduce the carbon emissions and save energy and make buildings more robust in to meet the goals that are quite necessary.
All right. Okay. And Sean, again, the UK obviously outside the EU as well too in terms of that. What's the UK government perspective? I know Tony Blair threw a little spanner in the works there a couple of weeks back in terms of his shout out against some of the goals and targets. Do you think the government is doing enough there in the UK to push sustainability?
I think there's a lot going on. I mean, the UK is certainly committed, despite the comments from Blair. So they committed to net zero by 2050, interim targets for 2030, 2035. And there's a whole host of regulations and standards that govern targets, in addition to things like the minimum energy efficient standards, tightening up building regulations, reducing operational carbon emissions, big focus on water efficiency, improving the indoor environmental quality. And since 2022, many large UK organisations are actually required to report on climate-related financial risks as part of their environmental reporting and disclosure requirements. So there's a lot that's going on. There could be a lot more. But as you mentioned, there is a big lobby, anti-net zero lobby that is taking place in the UK, and let's see what impact that has if it knocks the government's direction off course at all.
Okay, and from that point of view, Sean, are the end user customers with the companies and organisations having any impact in terms of the pressure they might bring to bear in terms of wanting more environmentally sustainable initiatives delivered?
Certainly from customers, I think there is. It's becoming more of a focus for many organizations out there, their sustainability, their social credentials, all of these kind of things. And obviously the built environment can play a key role in ensuring that they can reduce their environmental impact as a result. So I think there is pressure. There's always, the cost side that impacts that as well, and the regulations and the structure of the building. And there's a whole host of constraints that exist. But certainly there is more pressure, I think, from the client side to force landlords and developers to build and refurbish environmentally friendly buildings.
Okay, thanks for that. And Carmel, I want to put it to you in your experience. What do you think are the main obstacles to making the existing buildings that we have more sustainable? Is cost one of the main drivers in this?
Well, I think cost is always a bit of an obstacle for facility management anyway. It limits what is possible, but I think facility managers work within that. I think sometimes what is an obstacle is I think earlier Natalie was talking about we need to collaborate and communicate. And I think that's what we need to do more in facility management in order to understand each other's sectors and services, because there's an ecology in the building, and each service and each floor, they're all influencing each other. So if we can create better efficiencies and work closer together, that is one way that we can create much better sustainable buildings. Because I think in some ways facility management is often being worked within silos, and that is a big problem because we don't know how we can optimize our own services to make buildings better. For example, if I take this, you've got energy here as a focus. You kind of mentioned that earlier. And but if you're not connecting that to space management, you can have technically a very good sustainable building. But if it's not used in the right way, then it doesn't matter. So I think being able to make those connections within services, talking more across departments within facility management, I think that's what we need to do more, collaborate. And I think we're still working in silos a little bit there.
Okay, thanks for that, Carl. And Sean, from that perspective, we've seen obviously, particularly in the Irish market, we've seen a strong uptick in terms of the newer generation buildings that are have the higher standards in relation to sustainability. But at the same time, and particularly I noticed in today's Irish Times, there was a mention of a 75% markdown in terms of the older generation buildings. Is that down to a point of view that they're not sustainable enough for the customers? What are the obstacles there, do you think, in terms of that?
Yeah, I think when you start to look at older buildings from a sustainability perspective, it can become quite complex. There's a lot of obstacles. They can range from planning or conservation restrictions on a particular building. Older buildings often have technical or structural constraints that limit what you can actually do. Upfront costs, as we mentioned before, they're usually pretty high, and generally there's a slow return on investment, which obviously accountants tend not to like. If the building's occupied, a lot of disruption that's caused. And I think one of the fundamental issues that exists is there's a complete lack of detailed, reliable and comparable performance data on these buildings to actually help make informed decisions on what are the actions that are necessary and what will their impact actually be to the business and the building itself.
Okay, Sean, thanks for that insight on that side. I want to turn now to a topic we've already touched on a little bit, and it's one which is foremost in terms of anybody involved in the FM business is the shortage in the labour market. So, I mean, FM is playing a more important role in supporting the core businesses, and particularly since COVID. But we seem to see pretty much everywhere that demand is outstripping supply in the FM labour market. How do you think, and I'll take Carmel first on this one, how are the labour market shortages, do you think? And I know you might have a limited insight from the university side, but what's your own thoughts on this in terms of the labour market shortages in Norway?
I guess based on what I see that we have a master's course in property development and facility management, and our students are nearly all employed by the end of the course. So I do see that they are getting taken up quite quickly. I understand that there is an impact, a challenge in finding the right people for the different jobs in facility management, and I still think it's difficult to find the competency that they need. So often I think, as far as I understand, that organizations are drawing on different disciplines to support the work that they need as well. It's not my strongest area, but that's the impressions I'm seeing based on what I've been seeing. So it's good for our students doing facility management.
Absolutely, a good plug. Get a degree and get a job as you come out of university. That's a pretty good one. Sean, from your point of view, in terms of the labour market shortages in the UK, what do you think are the how do you think that's impacting in on it? Because I've been talking to a number of FM companies, and one of the interesting things I find in terms of tenders is that FM companies are now becoming very selective in terms of which tenders they're going to go for. Maybe they were always selective, but now it's a case of that they literally are not able to, in some cases I've been told, barely able to support their existing customers, never mind expanding. What kind of issues do you think that's going to drive in FM overall?
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, the labour market shortages in the UK do present a significant challenge for FM moving forward. Last year, I think 2/3 of UK organisations reported difficulties in finding skilled workers. I think this is exacerbated within the FM sector as it, faces growing pressure to improve sustainability, operational efficiency, these kind of things. Impact of that is it drives up costs. It impacts or strains, let's say, service delivery. But I think the positive aspect is it's starting to push the industry more towards greater use of technology and strategic workforce planning in order to mitigate these risks. So the best organizations are proactively addressing this through more innovation, training their people, getting flexible partnerships with service providers who are better positioned to maintain that service quality. So there is a problem, but I think, as people do, they find their ways in order to adapt and move around it. Certainly the best organizations do that.
Yeah, and in terms of touching on there, you mentioned training, obviously in terms of FM organisations and university, of course, delivering in more and more FM courses. Do you think there's enough of an uptake from and the danger sometimes I see within the FM industry that people start working in the industry, then they start learning in the industry rather than the other way around? We are seeing probably more of that probably in areas like the Netherlands, but I think a lot still in I know in the UK and in Ireland to a certain degree, it's kind of the wrong way around. Do you think there's enough efforts being put into supporting people at apprenticeship level? And I know that EuroFM have pushed that initiative a little bit. Is it working, and is there more that needs to be done?
I think it's working to a degree. Clearly the results speak for themselves. Additional apprentices coming through, more young talent getting into the industry as a first choice career rather than just landing up in FM just because nobody else wants to do that job. But yeah, of course, there's a huge amount more that can be done to encourage this, and I think the member associations, EuroFM, Global FM, everyone can play a role in ensuring this can happen in a much more effective way.
Okay, all right, and same for you, Carmel, in relation to how FM is viewed as a career path, really, in relation to that. Is it starting at the secondary school level and evolving into third level, or does that still have a way to go?
I think it has a way to go, because I think many students don't really know about facility management as a career. And I think there is still a responsibility for everyone here, practice, research, education, to to build up the opportunities, to illustrate the opportunities. So I think being able to, even though it's still quite a young discipline, but it's not still established, and it's often not really known what it is, by younger generations starting off on a career path. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why they fall into the career rather than see it as an option to go into. So I think there is a bit more to do there too. And it's great that EuroFM has an education side to it to kind of help build up the profile. But I think we could, as you mentioned, Pat, go a bit earlier. Think about, engaging secondary schools a bit more, to highlight the value of being a facility manager.
Okay, would you agree with that, Sean? I know that Mark Whittaker has been quite passionate about getting the news across to secondary level students. Do you think we need to do more, and what should we be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Should be doing more. I think there's a number of ways this can be done. Raising awareness, I think, as Carmel mentioned, of FM as a profession, improving entry-level accessibility to the industry. I think, associations leading initiatives to attract underrepresented groups to consider a career in FM. Expand training offerings on emerging skills, smart building technology, data analytics, sustainability, this kind of thing. And I think greater harmonization and adoption of standards and certifications. I think this is something which, everybody's away doing their own thing. And I see, I'm on the ISO committee through the BSI in the UK. What I see is there's a plethora of FM standards being produced, but actually there's relatively few companies that are actually adopting and becoming certified to it. So, maybe we're putting the cart before the horse, or whatever the trend is. So certainly there's a huge amount that could be done. I think other factors, partnering more closely with employers, that kind of thing, investing in research on FM projects that can help to inform the public and raise the profile and awareness of the FM industry.
Okay, you both touched there. Obviously, we move into talking about FM as a profession, and in a lot of respects, FM has been described really as the Cinderella profession, never getting to the ball, or maybe in this case, never getting into the C-suite in relation to where things are at. Is that an accurate description of the FM profession? And really, does FM need to be in the C-suite to make a difference? I'll take you first, Carmel.
I think it is an accurate description, and it's still it's something that I kind of align with. When I kind of came into facility management myself, I had to look it up what it was, but then when I found out, what it does, it's so important. So I think we do. I think maybe, I don't know. It's often said that we're kind of nearly hiding a little bit as well, and I think we do need to step up. We shouldn't be relying on facilities being bad in order to show when a facility is good. so to be noticed. So I think we should be shouting our praises a bit more and highlighting why it is what it means to have a good facility, and how it improves the quality of the lives of the people in the facility. Because it's very much, I find facility management very much user focused in what it does. So I still think, yeah, we need to shout more the positives of the profession.
Okay, it sounds like we're hiding in plain sight of everyone there in terms of what you're saying. So absolutely,
Yeah.
Sean, I'll put the same question to you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think one of the areas where FM really needs to stand up and get a seat at the table, which we touched on earlier, is on the strategic side. You know, FM is moving way beyond the traditional operational roles and is becoming a critical strategic functions that actually incorporates and aligns with broader organizational goals and objectives, you know, sustainability, digital transformation, risk management, workplace strategy, you name it. You know, many FM leaders have the responsibility for this. A lot of them also have responsibility for the real estate portfolio. And so they're now key contributors to corporate decision making. You know, they help organizations achieve their corporate objectives by reducing carbon footprints, by optimizing space utilization, by ensuring that the services and the environment is optimal for the users that are using them. So I think all of this combined, I think, will propel FM to the next level in the future, and it'll be accepted much more as a strategic profession, in the same way that, you know, a lot of these other professions, HR, marketing, finance, and so on, are automatically assumed as strategic professions.
Okay, all right. And from that point of view, really talking about professionals and the professional organizations, obviously IWFM, IFMA, and also EuroFM, should these organizations be doing more, or are they doing enough, really, in your own opinion? I'll take Sean first on that one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think they're doing a lot, but they can do more. And I think, as I mentioned before, you know, it's the raising awareness of FM as a career choice, improving partnering with employers to improve entry-level accessibility, you know, encouraging from a DEI's perspective underrepresented groups to take place, and so on and so forth. So I think there's a whole host of things that can be done from a federation and member association point of view, but it requires working together and agreeing common objectives in order to achieve this.
Okay, thanks. And I'll put the same question to you as well, Carmel.
Well, it's always a simple answer. Yes, we should be doing more, but we always have that limitation of time of how can we do more. But I think we need to kind of, you know, like I know working in EuroFM, I know how busy the board can be, but I think these are kind of, these moments like today are really nice to kind of highlight how we can do more. To include the members, and I think members also need to take responsibility as well to engage as well with a lot of the activities as it's happening today. So I think so these kind of moments are really useful. I think the associations within Norway are quite good and quite active as well and I think the networks are so good at building, at showing our strengths as a discipline and highlighting the good work that we are doing. So I think there is a lot being done. But of course, more can be done, as we kind of were mentioning, drawing in young people earlier into the profession. But I think the associations are doing a good job in creating these kind of moments that we can come together.
Okay, and from that perspective, do you feel that the professional organisations need to be more connected with business? And by business, I mean not just the FM companies, but the direct businesses themselves, in terms of connecting with them and seeing what they need, particularly as both Sean and yourself said, that the strategic decisions are driven by the client organisations themselves. Do the professional organisations need to connect more directly with the business to drive this forward? I'll take Carmel first. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think it is important that they are connecting with the business. Like in the ISO definition, we are a support, so we need to ensure that we are supporting the businesses that we want to engage in a good way, and also show more of how we can support. And I think that is one of the good rationales of kind of seeing us as at the strategic level, because facility managers can do more, but they just need to be empowered to do that. And I think being looking at the more strategic level, it brings scope to enable better organization of facility management. So I think it is important that they are engaging with the business.
Okay, and Sean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for member associations to target and work with service providers, large corporates, that kind of thing, on identifying good talent, tailoring entry-level qualifications and programs. Clearly, there needs to be improved, more competitive pay and benefits, I think, within the FM industry. In my experience, if I compare that to engineering project management, we're still, let's say, the poor cousin in relation to that. And I think also, you know, when I was at Roche, we started to engage more locally with internship programs, that kind of thing, getting kids in who were interested in building tech, sustainability, helping them to work, and then potentially consider that career in FM moving forward. And I think this should really be done, not just from the point of view of the corporates, but I think, you know, the country associations can play a huge role in facilitating these types of practices.
Okay, all right. And I want to put one final question to you both, and really it's all about the future of FM professional. Will, as you alluded to, will we see technology, and particularly the rise of AI, see maybe a demise of FM to a certain degree, particularly in maintenance, or as Dora Proley mentioned there just a couple of days ago, AI is too busy to take your job. So which is it in terms of that? Are we going to see a shift in FM? Are we going to see reduction in maybe hard services, and maybe the focus is going to be towards the soft service, the human side of FM delivery? I'll take you first, Sean, on this one.
Yeah, sure. It's an interesting question, actually. I think the future of the FM profession is exciting. It's transformative. I think it's shaped strongly by the advances we're seeing in tech, the evolving expectations of individuals in the workplace, sustainability imperatives, as well as this broader strategic role within organizations that I mentioned before. I think regarding the tech advances, I think AI automation will certainly not signal the demise of maintenance, but more an evolution, let's say. You know, we're already seeing predictive maintenance powered by AI and sensors, enabling teams to move into a more proactive mode of operating. You know, anticipating equipment failures before they happen, optimizing the life cycle of assets, reducing downtime, all this kind of thing. This improves efficiency, but it doesn't eliminate the need for skilled human technology, for technology and technicians. I think, in fact, it's actually an opportunity. So it elevates the role of the technician to one who needs more analytical skills, improved decision-making, and an oversight of automated system. So I think AI augments rather than replaces the human element when it comes to maintenance.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just going to mention as well, you mentioned soft services as well, Pat.
Yeah.
And I think on that, yeah, as workplaces become, you know, more and more hybrid, employee well-being is really taking the center stage for a lot of big corporates. I think the human side of FM, workplace experience, hospitality services, this kind of thing, I think they'll start to differentiate with the top tier providers, and the best FMs won't just manage and maintain buildings. They'll actually curate environments that boost productivity, that boost collaboration, boost satisfaction, as well as all these technical aspects that go with it that we're traditionally responsible for.
Okay, thanks. And Carmel, I'll give you the final word on this.
Yeah, I think this AI is something I'm very kind of busy with at the moment. But for me, AI in the profession, it's a tool that we should embrace. It can, like we always talk about efficiency and effectiveness. AI is a way that we can help and support in order to kind of find out, instead of going through 100 documents ourselves, use AI to help us find the information we need in a much more quicker way. For me, AI won't replace the knowledge and experience that is implicit in facility managers. And we talked about the strategic area, and strategic sets goals and objectives and plans, whereas AI at the moment, it can help, but it's only feeding in the information. It's only giving out the information that it's been fed in. So I think the whole creativity of facility management is still required in the knowledge and experience. I think overall, in terms of the future for facility management, we need to, I think, as Natalie said earlier, we need to keep learning and take risks and fail and learn from the risks. I think if we're not doing that, we're not going to move forward and be innovative, because I think the only way we can embrace the future is to try and take some of the risks to get to a future where we want to be. So and build on the opportunities being offered and not be afraid of them.
Okay, thanks for that, Carmel. And obviously, to in terms of what you said, then maybe to misquote Beckett a little bit, fail again and fail better in relation to what we need to do in terms of FM. Well, look, thank you both very much for a very interesting and insightful conversation. So appreciate your time very much, both. So Carmel and Sean, thank you very much indeed for that. And I'll hand over now back to Vera.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you to you as well, Pat. I'll take you out of the spotlight as well. Of course, on the schedule is the quiz, but before we go to the quiz, there's something else I'd like to share with you. We have a few EuroFM ambassadors that have made a video for us. So I'm going to share one of them right now, which is our EuroFM ambassador from Bulgaria. There we go.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, Happy World FM Day 2025. I'm Goran Milanov and I'm EuroFM ambassador for Bulgaria. Today it's an important day because today is our professional holiday. Today we celebrate the vital role of facilities management in order to deliver and secure safe, efficient and healthy environments. And yes, we have to be resilient in our actions in order to secure the change, to secure the environment in this dynamic economical, ecological and political situation. But today it's our holiday again and we need to celebrate. So I'm sending this message to you with warm regards to all of you for prosperity and health. And again, Happy World FM Day 2025 from Bulgaria.
A nice video. We appreciate Goran. He's not here today, if I'm not mistaken, but that's a nice video from the EuroFM ambassador from Bulgaria. Natalie?
No, he's not. Goran could not join this meeting. No, it's true.
Then on to the quiz. I'm going to share my screen again, and I would like to invite you to grab your phone so you can join. Should be working. Let me know if you cannot see anything on screen. You can scan the QR code. It's the smallest QR code I've ever seen in my life, but I can't enlarge it. So if you cannot scan the QR code, you can use the joinmyquiz.com and then enter the code 291534. So this quiz is just for fun. You're not getting graded, but still it's testing to see if you've paid attention. So I see 5 participants joining already. See 6 now. Is there anyone having trouble with entering? Then please let me know. Wait a few more minutes, maybe 1 or 2 for everyone to join. We have 21 people here, so I hope we have a bit more participants than 9. I'm going to give you a short introduction about the quiz. We have 10 questions. We're going to start with 4 questions about World FM Day. Easy questions, just to ease into it, and then 6 questions about EuroFM. And we have 13 participants now. Is there anyone who would still like to join that hasn't been able to do so? Okay.
Let's start, I think.
Yeah. Let's go. Okay. So first question. Again, an easy one. Who initiated World FM Day? A. EuroFM. B. IFMA. C. IWFM. Or D. Global FM. So for every question you have 45 seconds, but I would assume that you don't need 45 seconds for this question. There's a few still typing, clicking. See that Leo's still thinking. Oh, there we go. There we go. Oh, Sean is first now because he answered quickly. Then, of course, the answer is Global FM. Then on to the next question. When did we first celebrate World FM Day? So it's an initiative by Global FM, but when did they initiate? Is it A, 2006, B, 2009, C, 2012, or D, 2015? When was the first World FM Day? So again, if you answer quickly, you get more points. Waiting on the final answer. There we go, the leaderboard. Ooh, it has changed. See, this was a bit harder, wasn't it? So the correct answer is answer B, 2009. That's when we first celebrated World FM Day. It was in August, not in May. It was on August 28th, to be exact. Then moving on, what best describes the main purpose? So this is a bit of a trick question. So it's not like the other answers are wrong. We are looking for the best answer. So what best describes the main purpose of World FM Day? Is it A, to encourage the development of new workplace technologies? B, to celebrate FM's positive impact on people, places, and organizational performance? C, to recognize the role of FM in business operations and workplace safety, or D, to highlight the contributions of FM to sustainability practices? So again, what's the best answer? There we go. Oh, we have a new leader. Then the correct answer is B. So that's well done. Well done. Then the final question about World FM Day is also an easy one. You can get this. What's the theme of World FM Day 2025? We've mentioned it a few times, but what is it? A, is it resilience in action, thriving in a world of change? B, leading a sustainable future? C, the future of FM, bridging technology, people and places? Or D, inspire, integrate, innovate, ignite your career in FM? If you have your glasses on, you can see the answer in the screen in our background, but not saying too much. We're waiting on the final answers. Here we go. Oh, Gordon's doing very well. The answer is, of course, answer A, resilience in action. Okay, so now on to the questions about EuroFM. See, and now for the ambassadors, this is your moment. Show us that you know what EuroFM is all about. The first question, in what year was EuroFM officially, emphasis on, officially founded? Is it A, 1987, B, 1995, C, 1993, or D, 1980? So officially founded. Getting on the final answers. Ooh, this was difficult. Oh, we have a new leader. Lay's doing very well. This was a bit harder, wasn't it? The correct answer is 1993 is when Eurofin was officially founded. The groundwork was laid in 1987, but it was officially founded in 1993. In the other years, so 1995 is when the Dutch Association of Facility Management was founded, and 1980 is when IFMA was founded. Okay, next question. Which three words are featured directly underneath the EuroFM logo? I've obviously removed them from the picture that you see on the screen now, but what three words are we looking for? Is it research, education, innovation, research, business, education, research, practice, development, or research, business, and strategy? Waiting on the final answers to come in. There we go. Do we have a new leader? Yes, Gordon is back in first place. The correct answer is answer B. So very well done. It's research, business, and education. Okay, then moving on to the next question, which is about the core network groups that EuroFM has. So three of them are related to research, business, and education. But apart from those core network groups, what is the fourth core network group of EuroFM? So besides research, education, and practice, is it A, corporate associates, B, innovation, C, leadership, or D, development? Waiting on a few answers. Excited to see if you got this one right. Gordon still in first place. Very well done. That's correct. The correct answer is A. So the corporate associates, and they focus on connecting organizations and service providers for different business development opportunities. Then the 8th question. This is again tricky question. Read well. What best describes EuroFM's primary mission? Is it A, to advance FM knowledge and its application in education, research, and practice across Europe? Is it B, to drive innovation within the European facility management sector? Is it C, to create a collaborative platform for the FM professionals, academics, and organizations? D, to support the distribution of FM knowledge on a European level. What best describes the primary mission? Very good. The correct answer is, of course, A, to advance FM knowledge and its application in education, research, and practice across Europe. Then we have 2 questions left. Where will the EuroFM Conference 2025 this December take place? Is it Copenhagen in Denmark, The Hague in the Netherlands, Trondheim in Norway, or Vienna in Austria? See that our current leader, Gordon, just put his answer in. Excited to see if you're still in first place. Where will the conference take place? It's, of course, in Norway, in Trondheim. And for the people that haven't got their tickets yet, they are on sale. So I would advise you to buy them and join us in December in Norway. During the conference, the research symposium also takes place. That's what the final question is about. What is this year's topic of the EuroFM Research Symposium? Is it A, circular FM and urban work environments, B, transformation for future-proof FM, or C, shaping the next generation of FM, or D, social facility management? It's the final question. If you answer quickly and correctly, you can get your final points in. There we go. Who's the leader? Gordon. Very well done. Oh, so this was a bit difficult, I see. Well, the actual correct answer is D, social facility management. So the 2025 symposium focuses on social facility management, which addresses topics like social sustainability, inclusiveness, and ethics in FM. So that's another reason to join us in Norway, I may say myself. Okay, then we have a winner. Where's the winner? First place. Gordon. Where's Gordon? Very well done. You have a nameless person in second place and Pat third place. Very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, number 2 is Carmel. I know she put it in the chat. Yeah. So okay, well done, Gordon.
Well done. Well done. Well, Carmel, that's good that you are mentioned because you are also a EuroFM ambassador and you have also shared a video with us. Now I'm just going to pop it on the screen already. Let's see. There you are.
Hi, my my name is Carmen Lindqvist. I'm a professor at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, and I'm EuroFM Ambassador for Norway. I'm here with my good colleague, Martin Gjerde. We both work in the Center of Real Estate and Facility Management, and this is a special year for us, so we're celebrating facility management more because our center is 20 years old. So have you any reflections on having been in a center with that is 20 years?
Well, facility management in that center is an important component, and it links very directly to the early phase development, giving us and our students and our industry partners the opportunity to consider the whole life cycle of a project. Yeah,
it's quite exciting being able to work with facility management as a discipline itself, as well as kind of the wider aspects, especially when design, construction, and also renovation. Yeah. We're quite happy as well that we have such a legacy as well within the center going over from our students and long-lasting partners. So how are we going to celebrate?
I think we should have a piece of cake.
Yeah, we're going to have cake. Okay, happy World FM Day.
Welcome, I hope you've had your cake already. Thank you so much for the video. And thank you again for joining the quiz. Congratulations to Gordon, to Carmel, and to Pat. And then I would like to give the word to Natalie again.
Thank you. And I will ask some people to come on stage. Joop van Duren, Wil Gooskens, and Daniel van Velten. Because we have the privilege with speaking with them. They are valued and experienced lecturers within facility management, and all three are soon retiring. And that's really a pity for our profession. So I think over the course of their careers, they have witnessed tremendous changes in our profession in the work field and also global changes. So in this interview, we will reflect on their professional journey, the lessons they learned, and the advice they have for future generations. So welcome, and thank you for taking the time sharing your insights with us. Please introduce yourself to the audience. And I see on the screen Will, so please, Will, introduce yourself first.
Yeah, my name is Will Gooskens. First of all, thank you for inviting me after 50 years in this profession. I'm retiring, like you just said, by the end of August. My career was for half in education, and a quarter I used to work for commissioners, and the other quarter I was working for suppliers. So I think I have a total view on all the aspects within facility management, and I hope I can give you some hints and tips in this interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Will. And then maybe Daniel, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm Daniel van Velten. I'm working at the Zurich University of Applied Sciences in Switzerland as a lecturer and researcher. And yeah, I started in 1985 with a small lecturing in finance, but at that time I worked as a consultant mainly. And in about 2000, that means 25 years ago, I started really to work at the university with research and more lecturing. And yeah, in 2 weeks, I'm 65. And with 65, you will be retired in Switzerland.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining. And Joop, also based in the Netherlands, like Will, but please introduce yourself.
Yes, thanks, Natalie. Thanks for having me. Joop van Duren, I'm a professor of Applied Sciences Facility Management. I started my career in facility management in 1986. Worked in practice for about 20 years as a consultant, as a manager, and I work in education since the beginning of this century. And the last 10 years, I have my own research group on facility management, and I was program director for the Master of Facility and Real Estate Management at Zuid University.
Yeah, well, wow. Well, I think we have more than 100 years experience here on the table, so that's good. And I know if I see the whole audience of this meeting, then I think we will get around 1,000 years of experience. So, yeah, well, I wasn't not even born when you started, Will, I think. But then over the past, 30 to 40 years, facility management has undergone an impressive transformation from a role focused mainly on caretaking and building maintenance into a strategic, and that was also Carmel and Sean mentioning in their discussion, it has earned a place in the boardroom. So you have witnessed and contributed to that remarkable journey firsthand. And that's also what I first want to address. How did you embrace the long life learning? How did you learn it by yourself? Maybe Joop, can you first answer this one?
I'll give it a try, indeed. Well, when I started in the world of facility management, my degree was building construction. So it is aligned with facility and real estate management, but a different angle. So the first years I learned in practice, and I took a lot of courses. I started studying business administration in these years. I was involved in procurement as well, and specialized a bit in that field. But talking about long life learning, I got my PhD on my 54th year. So that illustrates that, and that's at the same time, that's my message for younger people: keep on learning, because change is here to stay, and things are changing so fast and so massive that we have to be prepared for new situations. And as facility manager, we can't react. We have to take the initiative and to be upfront. So develop that attitude to be upfront and to take initiatives, and to be critical and to research, and keep on doing so lifelong. That's my message.
Yeah, and that maybe Will, what skills or areas of knowledge did you find yourself updating most over the years?
Yeah, when I look at technology, the kind of integration, sustainability got, of course, much more important. And I also was very interested in the leadership strategies. Those are the things I think I mostly and frequently updated in my career.
Yeah. And Daniel, how was it for you? Is that the same in Switzerland and for you in your journey?
Yeah. I see learning as a personal, individual feature. That means it can happen through interactions with people, private or professional challenges, projects in the business world, research projects at the university, or through many courses in further education. And I always was, and I am still, a curious person, and have had the privilege to learn at all these levels.
And are there also things the same as 30 years ago? Are there things which are not changed at all?
Yeah, I think it's always depends a little bit on the person itself, because technological aspect was never something difficult for me. I sold hardware at the first computer company 45 years ago, helped to build companies in mobile communication 35 years ago. I founded a company that developed the first bus system to control heating and ventilation of buildings. Later, I worked with Pepper, the humanoid robot, or was able to develop coil teaching formats. This is something that happened, but what I ever have to do, I have continuously worked on collaboration with people, students and teachers, and people from the business world. I always have, or I tried to improve my leadership and communication skills, and that's what always I have to do, and it's going on something like that.
Yeah.
That answer your question?
Yeah, of course, it does. I think it's for everybody a different angle and a different perspective. So maybe then another one. How did you experience the arrival of new generations during your periods? New students, new colleagues. How did you see some movement on that?
You ask me, I think too much noise.
Yes. Yeah.
It's too much noise made
Oh,
about
okay.
this so-called different generation, because also it's has been scientifically disproven generation models like X, Y, Z. It
Yeah.
still persists. The difference between this generation is merely that encounter on different challenges and technological possibilities at the same age compared to other generations. But
Yeah.
they do not differ in their fundamental needs or behaviors.
Yeah. I think Joop, you can also say something about. I know that Joy Bergs of Hogeschool Zuid is also doing a lot of research on this topic.
Yeah, a lot changed, but indeed some things are still there. And one thing to mention is the human touch. I think the human touch and hospitality attitude was important 40 years ago, is important now, and will remain to be important next years. Looking at different generations, well, looking at the current generation, I think they are more critical, which is good, very good. And their digital toolbox is huge compared to the toolboxes we had when we started. But in essence, I agree with Daniel that these differences in between generations are not that massive as sometimes is being explored. Young people right now, they want information very quickly. They don't want to read books or scientific papers. They want it very hip and fluently, etc. And sometimes we can serve that demand, but a little bit old-fashioned perhaps. But I believe sometimes it's good to force them, in a good sense, to deep dive and to read a scientific paper or a book. And I guess that's our role as an educator and as a guide for young people who develop to be professionals.
I agree with Joop. I think FM is still a people's business. That is very important. I know when I was still the program manager in Breda University, that at the kickoff of the first year students, I asked, okay, do you like to work with people? And if they wouldn't raise their hand, then I would really say, okay, then you really should consider on stopping with this education, because this is what you're going to be doing in the facility business for the rest of your career if you will stay there. It's a people's business. And I think what is also refreshing for every generation is it gets new energy. You get new perspectives. And that's challenged me to stay a bit flexible and open-minded. I know when I was talking 30 years, 40 years ago, it was about money when we were talking about facility management. And when those young people came in, sustainability got more and more important. And now well-being of buildings is more important. So it gives you new insights and it gives you new things to work on. And I think that is something for every generation.
Yeah, and also because what it's already touched in the previous discussion. What about the ways of learning? What about the tools they are using? I think there something maybe is changed. I don't know who said that. Reading a book is not from this time anymore. But what do you see there? What's the biggest difference?
I think what is still important is that as soon as students realize that practice and theory are not something different, I always tell my students that the theory is nothing else than somebody made mistakes in the practical way, and at a certain moment he thinks, okay, why do I always make that mistake? And then that ends up in a kind of quadrant or a kind of theory. how to prevent making those mistakes. So there's a real alignment between theory and practice. And what you see nowadays, of course, is that students are really very involved in AI. So that makes life for them much easier. But yeah, also a challenge to be critical about that.
Yeah. Well, what I see for myself in my career is what I see now, that the younger students, and also because I'm also together with IFMA organizing World Workplace, the opportunities students get to go out abroad, to get international apprentices, traineeships, but also, well, when I go to World Workplace in America, I see there are a lot of students. When I had the opportunity, when I was 25 years old, I didn't have that kind of opportunities to see in the world a lot of what's happening there. And I know, Daniel, you're also part of the Deep Coil project. It's amazing to see what we can offer our students now. Can you reflect on that one, Daniel?
Yeah, of course. Also the collaboration, the online collaboration is possible today. Before you told that, in the early time they read books. It was the only way to get knowledge. But today we have videos, we have online possibilities, therefore it will be used, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. And well, also as new generations enter the field, workplace expectations and concepts are also involved. Let's explore a little bit on that one. How have workplace concepts evolved
and
since
Hamas
you
is a
started
brutal
your
terrorist
career?
organization that hides people, their own fighters, under hospitals. But it's frankly unacceptable.
There it is. Sorry.
I've muted him. You can
Sorry. So again, the question, and maybe Will, you can answer it. How have workplace concept evolved since you've started your career?
Yeah, that move from very rigid office layouts. Actually, you had your own office, or you had your office for 2 or 3 people, and then it went to open plans. And now what you see is more flexible environments, and the focus is more on well-being and productivity. So a workplace is something to put you in a better place as an employer. So it's a part of the war of talent that is going on. That was the discussion in the beginning with the 3 panel members, that there is a shortage of people. So a nice office environment that really helps with that.
Can I add something?
Yes.
What I see is that when you look at a traditional floor plan from a traditional office, about 70% of the square meters are just workplaces. 70%, and 30% was for other purposes like refreshment, meetings, etc. When you look at offices nowadays that are designed for hybrid working, you see the opposite. It's just 40% of the floor space is for workplaces. It's for me work. All the rest is for we work. And that's exactly what we see. Going to the corporate office is to do we work, to collaborate, to be creative, to get inspired, etc., to work on innovations and developments. And me work, we can do it at home. And you can see it when you look at a modern office plans, floor plans. It's totally different. Offices become smaller because we share workspaces. People work at home for 2 days a week, for example. Of course, digitization has influence on office layouts. So I think our challenge is to make the new office attractive for WeWork, so people get bonded, stay bonded, and that the community and the shared values can be fruitful for the organization.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it is. And maybe Daniel, which workplace concept has made you the most lasting, impressive on you, and why did it? You've seen so much the last 20, 30 years.
That's the concept of hybrid working. has left a lasting impression because it combines, as Job told before, the benefits of office work and remote work, and it offers flexibility while promoting the collaboration and team spirit at the end. That since COVID, that's really was a game changer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, also what I read today in the newspaper is that in Europe, the desire of homeworking is 2.6 days a week. At the moment in Europe, we work at home 1.4 days a week. So there is a gap between what we want and what we do. So I think also that needs, well, that asks a lot of development the upcoming years, because it's not in line with what we want to do and what we do in daily work. So yeah, there's a lot to gain. Yeah. And you were discussing about COVID. I think when you started your career, you never ever thought about the fact that this period was coming. So please, can you also share with us what's the most funny or astonishing thing you've seen during COVID at your university by, well, also embracing students and helping them? Maybe Will, you're...
Yeah, what I noticed, it went really rapid, the whole decision making. We implemented those health protocols, we went to online learning, ensuring safe spaces for people. So it really went very quickly. So what it really brought to me, that if it comes to the push, then we really are able to find quick solutions. And I think that's one of the benefits also about facility management. We very often say we're doers, eh? We like to do, and we're maybe a bit modest in telling what you're doing. I think that was also in the presentations in the beginning. I think we should put ourselves more to that. But I think COVID really showed what facility management could mean. A pity that most people are already forgetting it. Another thing what I realized in the COVID is that, at least in the Netherlands, but I think it counts more also for Western Europe, especially when I compare it with America, when they are at those conferences, that business contingency planning, that is still something we need to do better, because I think for most organizations it overcame them. They didn't have any manuals or things like that. And when I'm at IFMA on conferences, on international conferences, I see they already realized that many years ago. So this is something we might be focusing on a bit more in future, because I'm afraid of what might be more like these kind of challenges.
Yeah, it is.
Perhaps,
and Joe?
Perhaps in addition, I always like to talk about value enabling facility management. And in the previous discussion, it was about adding value as well. So, and in the COVID period, we really demonstrated how much value we can add. Business continuity, because of the measures facility managers took from one day on the other day.
Yeah.
So in that perspective, it was kind of an opportunity.
Yeah.
But what did it ask from you as a lecturer? Did your way of giving your lessons, of getting into contact with students, did it really change? Or can someone of you telling something about that? Because
the lessons were very much online, so that was kind of traditional, but I had more individual meetings with students via Teams. So the individual component was more, I would say. And that is, of course, in my opinion, still the best way of educating people, to have individual contact with small groups, because those big classrooms, that doesn't really work, I would say. Students, at least in the Netherlands, are not open to answer questions in a group of 50 or 60 students. That's not going to happen. So the smaller the groups, the more individual, the better the education will get.
Yeah. How is that for you, Daniel?
Yeah, that during that time, I think it was really easy to make appointments with people online
Yeah,
because all have had much more time and the students
Yeah.
as well. And yeah, one thing was because we introduced COIL before the COVID
yeah,
crisis, we fight with our IT department to allow Teams, MS Teams, several years. And
yeah,
they always blocked. And about half a year before COVID, it was allowed. And I think they was very happy that they do it because everybody was used to Teams, MS Teams, and that yeah, you need some IT components to to do the online, online lectures, and when we would not have that, it would be very, very difficult at that time.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
was lucky that we have had it.
yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe also another topic which you also have to deal with is about regional and global developments in the field. How have you experienced the impact of globalization in facility management? Can you maybe Joop, can you start?
Yeah, well, I see positive aspects, but also negative ones. Um, because digitization, everything is very transparent. What you can get, what you pay for it, all over the world. But on the other hand, buying in Asia and shipping it to Europe, what are we doing from a sustainability perspective? So I think we have to take that into account. And then in times we are living right now, political instability in some areas, logistic risks, price risks, valuta risks. So I think it's become more important to find the balance between how to act local for the economy, for logistics, for the environment on one side, and on the other side, sometimes because of economics of scale, you want to go global. And finding that balance, taking into account the risks and the opportunities, I think that's becoming a whole new area of specialism for facility managers and procurement officers as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, also I think there are now a lot more global organizations. So if you are responsible for facility management for a global organization, you need to deal with cultural differences, with political differences. So that's also a thing we needed to learn in the last year, in the previous years.
Yes, geopolitical issues.
Yeah.
They matter these days.
Yeah.
You have to take them into account. So
Yeah.
spreading your risks, being sustainable, supporting local economies, being proportional in your demands, not just the big ones, but also the small suppliers, like what it was mentioned in the previous discussion. All these issues have to be taken into account.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe also because I see at all your universities that you also have more students from abroad than, well, I think 20 years ago. Is that true? Maybe Daniel or Will, can you?
Yes,
add
what
on
we
this?
see, we are of course an international. We have an international program. Our full year, 4-year curriculum is in English. So in the beginning, when we started 20 years ago, I think the number of international students are very low. That was maybe 5% max. And what we see in the last 2 years, we see really a lot of more international students. I think when you look at BUAS wide, so not only at facility management, we have almost 30% international students. And even the facility program is exceeding. On the other hand, that is also with the new regulations in the Netherlands, that might be an issue, of course, because the government is trying to reduce the international students. But I think that's really a mistake, because you need that multicultural work environment, because that is what we will work in. I always told my students I worked in the Netherlands for most part of my career, but I worked for some large international companies. And then it's not the fact that your English is good enough, because mine is still not good enough. But knowing that if an English person says it sounds very interesting, he might mean no way in hell it's going to happen. And that's what you learn if you're working in that international environment. And that helps you, even though if you know for sure that you will never leave your country of origin. So I think Joop already said, I heard in my career very often the quote, be international, but act local. And I think that is something what we need to do, because it also has some great advantages, broader standardization, best practices. You get that multicultural work environment. So yeah, one can't do without another.
Yeah, we need global minds for sure.
Yeah. And Daniel, what do you see as the biggest challenge for facility management in an increasing international world?
Yeah, so all these challenges that we have to, that we have, I think it's the challenge to handle it and to generate added value. It's therefore at our we developed COIL, Collaborative Online International Learning. I think it's important that students learn to work together with students from whole of the world, because the challenges we have is influenced from the whole world. When we talk about sustainability, digital transformation, risk management, that's all influenced not only at my local business, but it's influenced from the whole world. And I think that's a little bit the challenge, because where should the students learn to do that? In their own class with their own other students. Therefore, they have to talk with other students. They have to solve challenges with students from abroad, and that we try to do with the COIL setting. And they have to learn to work in international virtual teams to tackle these challenges together with various stakeholders on an equal footing. And I think that is something what FM needs at the end as well.
That I think you're correct. But what I also see is, and that's also a little bit related to what Will is saying, as facility manager, we are doers. And also what I see is that we are focused on the region, and there's only a small group who is interested in international, building up a network and seeing what's going on in different countries. So we're not reaching 100%. What we need to do more to get more people aligned with what's happening in the world. And we're also seeing what's happening in other countries. So I think it's a good development, but we need to work on it. And that's also a role for EuroFM, of course, to bring that together. So maybe then also some questions for you personally. If you're looking back on your career, what are you the most proud of? And maybe starting with Joop, do you want to?
Yeah, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. I'm proud of having that I had the opportunity to guide so many bachelor and master students to the end level. And these days, when I see them back in the working field as professionals, sometimes I'm so surprised and impressed. So that makes me proud that I could contribute to their development.
Yeah. Well, Will or Daniel, can you add something to that? More things?
Yeah, that's for sure also what I had on what I would say, but also in my case, and then I'm more talking not about my educational career, but also the strategic positioning of FM within organizations, what I did in my other professions. But what I really like when I look in LinkedIn, and I'm not in social media, I'm from the baby boom generation, so I don't have Facebook, I don't have Twitter or X or what is it now. But I'm really, when I look at LinkedIn and I look at our alumni and where they end up after 4 or 5 years, then I'm really proud to see what we established together with my colleagues, of course, and what they established themselves. So that's when I really feel myself proud. Yeah.
So, and Daniel, from changing from finance to facility management, what brought that to you at the end of your career?
Yeah, as you told previously, I was more involved in the core business. Through FM, I recognized the challenges and importance of support processes as well as the still largely untapped potentials.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And also maybe, is there a moment, because of course we want to have the all dirty stories, but is there a moment or something, an event from your career that you always will remember? Please share something with us, which we can use the upcoming years also as a good story. Maybe, Will, I see you.
What I learned, and that was from a guru, I think, when they're still working for the National Post. He told me two things, and that's what I always tell to my graduation students who I guide in year 4: embrace change and always be integer. Those are the two things you can't learn. You have to be open for change, and we're teaching them change management, so it really sounds like hell to bring change. But I learned that if you embrace change, you have the first opportunities. It also brings you new challenges. Otherwise, I would have never learned and would have never worked in education if I wouldn't have accepted that change. And I think integrity, that is something that, I've seen in my career a lot of things where I would say, okay, integrity would have really helped with that if people would be integer.
Yeah. And how's that for you, Daniel? Can you also share with us?
Oh, unfortunately not, but there is no single event, but many wonderful encounters, and it's always have to do with people. I liked it very much that I was able to meet so many nice people, students, lecturers, other universities, people from the business, and that I will always remember.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And you, Joop?
Well, one thing I will always remember, it was June the 5th in 2013 when I defended my PhD research at Twente University. That was quite a milestone, and because doing that research was quite a struggle. It took me 7 to 8 years next to my family and my job, so standing over there for a commission, asking these questions, and then celebrating. That was a very exciting moment. And at the same time, what I learned the most from that research is that passion for facilitating people starts with being or becoming an excellent listener. What's necessary over here? How can we support you? How can we cooperate? Because my research was about procurement, and procurement is about cooperation between client and a contractor. And I really believe becoming an excellent facility manager starts with make sure you become an excellent listener. Sometimes we talk too much and we listen too few.
Yeah. I totally agree on that one. Yeah. So maybe for the last question, we need to wrap up. It's a very nice conversation, but time is running. So maybe last question: do you have any dreams or plans for your period after your retirement, which you would like to share with us? What will you do, because you worked so hard for such a long time in this beautiful business? What's your next step? Please, well, maybe Daniel, please, can you first give us an insight?
I do. I always say that I have worked for science teaching and research for a long time. And now when I'm going to be retired, I will really start with making money.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. Oh, so you bought some Bitcoins or you don't know? Okay.
Several opportunities.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Well, Will, what's your
Yeah, I
plan?
think I already told the story to a lot of people whom I meet in conferences. It's nice if you can say that work is your hobby. And actually, I can say that for the last 40 or 50 years. Work is my hobby. FM is never a dull moment. It's never, always something happen. But it's sad if you need to say that it's your only hobby. So I have to find a new hobby, and I still don't have one. So of course I'm thinking about voluntary work and see what I can do in the business. But yeah, it's my next challenge, I would say, to find something what can be my new hobby. Yeah.
Well, we will grab a cup of coffee and talking about that on another moment. And
Yeah.
Joop, for you, what's your plan?
My plan is to stay healthy and to
Yeah.
enjoy life in a lower gear, a bit lower gear than the last years. And I want to use my competences to support the local community. I live in a small village. A lot of facilities declined over here. So keeping livability high of community, that is facility management as well, when you ask me. And I hope I can contribute to that, but in a lower gear, enjoy life. As simple as that.
It's a good last, mission, what we all need to do. And I think it's nice to see what you all did, for more than 30 years for the profession. And I know you all have your retirements, celebration sessions somewhere this year, but for now, I think I would like to thank you for a small insight what happened in the last years, because I think we are losing 3 amazing big experts who know what was happening in the past, and also, saw how our profession growed and developed. So on behalf, I think, of the board, of all members, from my side, I would like to thank you for what you did. Hopefully, the younger generation will stand up to take your position when you're gone. But I know for sure that what you learned us and what you brought to the facility management network with bringing our good students to us, I think that is more than thankful what you did. So thank you very much also for this discussion. And maybe I see you somewhere in future to drink a cup of coffee. Thank you for this one.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, it's still not August, so there will be a lot of other meetings coming up, I guess.
Of course. Yes. Well, and I think also with this, I think we need to close on time the end of the World FM Day 2025 EuroFM. And this session is recorded, so we will also put it on our website and make a small wrap up of it so that everybody can see what we shared with each other today. I would like to thank you for attending this session. And of course, I would like to thank our experts by sharing their stories. Enjoy the rest of the day, and hopefully we will see you somewhere during one of our next conferences or meetings. And maybe we all see you in the snow in Trondheim in December.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.